Hey folks, Todd here. Today we're going to install the TruXedo TruXport on this 2024 Ford Ranger. The tools we'll be using for this installation are a ratchet with a 1/2-inch socket and T30 Torx socket. We've got a 10mm wrench, and I'll also be using a Phillips head screwdriver bit. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is install our bulkhead seal. Now you'll notice we've got the vinyl backing on the adhesive side. That's going to be stuck to the top of the bulkhead. I've already gone ahead and cleaned off the top of the bulkhead with some isopropyl alcohol. That's very important to get a good bond. Whenever we do install it, it needs to be this vertical face needs to be in line with the vertical face of the bulkhead, and it also needs to be all the way up against the bed cap. You'll also notice there's kind of a curved edge right here and then a straight edge here. The curved edge is going to face towards the cab of the truck. So we're going to go ahead and peel back about 6 inches and set it in place. And go ahead and pull out. We're going to go all the way to the opposite side. And we're going to get it nice and tight up against the bed cap on this side. All right. Okay, now what we're going to do is go ahead and prep our bed caps with our brackets. Now, this is what your bracket looks like in your kit. What we're going to do with each one of our brackets is just go ahead and take them apart for right now. This side we're going to set to the side, and this portion right here is what we're going to be attaching to our bed caps. Now, when you look at the bed caps, we've got some fasteners that are plastic fasteners from the factory. And it looks like it's got a little bit of a Phillips head screw in there. It's actually a plastic fastener. We're going to take a screwdriver or a Phillips head screw bit and place it in there and then just start spinning it. Now, if it just spins, grab the back side of the fastener and squeeze it. And as you squeeze it, it'll help to work the screw portion out. Then once that's out, you can go ahead and pull that out and set it to the side. Next, what we're going to do is grab our bracket. We're going to set that in place right here. In our hardware kit, we're going to have some bolts with some thread locker on there. It's going to go through. And on the back side, we've got a serrated flange nut. We're going to run that serrated flange nut on there. We are not going to tighten this down all the way just yet, but we are going to get it somewhat tight so that we can still adjust it. What we're going to use to tighten that down is a T30 Torx wrench. I've got it as a socket on a ratchet, and then on the back side we've got a 10mm. I'm using an open end or a box end wrench. So put the box end wrench on the nut and go ahead and tighten this guy down. Again, not all the way. It's going to be somewhat loose just so we can still adjust it. Okay, so for the next clamp location, we're going to go to the center of the bed, and we've got 2 plastic fasteners. We're going to pick the one that's closer to the front. Again, we're going to take our Phillips head screw bit and go ahead and pull that out the same way we did the last one. Set that to the side and put this in place just like the same way we did the last one. All right, now let's go ahead and move to the rear. Okay, now for the rear location, we're going to go ahead and install our rear clamp bracket the exact same way as the first 2. All right, now go ahead and repeat the same process for the bed cap on the other side. All right, next what we're going to do is locate our driver's side rail. Now, if I hold this up, this formed corner right here that's rounded is going to face towards the cab of the truck. If you look at it, there is a letter D for driver's side. Passenger side is going to have a P on there. Now, if I flip this over, you're going to notice that it looks like I'm missing a little bit of seal right here. That's because we need to apply a piece of seal. So what we're going to do is find in our kit, we've got this piece here. We're going to line up the piece that coordinates with the shape of that. So we're just going to kind of peel that out. Once that's peeled out, we can take and just line it up and set it in place and bear down. Now we can go ahead and set it up on top of our bed cap. And for right now, we're just going to place it to where this end right here is kind of pointing straight across our bulkhead. Do the same thing for the one on the passenger side. Okay, now here is our cover the way it comes out of the box. I'm just going to set this on top of the rails for right now. One thing I want to point out, we have a header rail that's right here and it's got a seal on it. This seal is going to wrap around and lay flat down on top of this seal here, just like so. Now make sure that our straps that come off of this header rail drop down into the bed of the truck, not over top of the bulkhead. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this down. All right, now if I peel this back, you're going to notice that this extrusion has an open channel. Now what we need to do is fit this portion right here into the open channel and slide it in all the way. All right, now once we have both sides in, we're going to go ahead and make sure everything is centered on the bed of the truck up at the front. We also want to make sure that the seal on the bottom of the header rail is centered over top of, or is the leading edge of that seal is over top of our bulkhead seal. So we're going to go ahead and slide that back a little bit, get that over top. Okay, next what we want to do is we're going to take the other side of our clamp halves and we're going to go ahead and set that up on top of the clamps. Now you'll notice the grooves in that top clamp half will nest right into the grooves on the rail. When we do that, we will also want to make sure that this notch right here falls into the center groove on the clamp. So we got 3 grooves on that clamp, it needs to go into the center groove and also nest into these grooves on the rail. Once that's in, what we're going to do is we're going to take our bolt, go down through the top, and we're going to run that down just hand tight for right now. We're going to do all 6 of our clamps that way, 3 on this side and 3 on the other side. Center clamp, same thing. We want to make sure that it's in that center groove. That's going to set where that rail needs to be. We will double check the alignment of the rail in just a moment. That's the reason why we're putting this on hand tight for right now. Okay, now before we tighten anything down, we need to first roll it back to the tailgate to make sure our spacing is correct at the back. So in order to do that, first what I like to do is roll this forward and make sure the tarp is nice and centered, because this tarp can slide back and forth inside that header rail. So if you need to make any adjustments to the tarp so that it's centered, do that now. Then we're going to roll it back towards the tailgate. All right, when we get it to the very end, we'll rotate this down, make sure we have about an 1/8 inch gap between the tail rail and the inside on both sides, so we are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that back forward, and we can start tightening everything down. So we're going to start by tightening up front. So we're going to tighten both of these two on both sides, and then the very end we'll tighten the tail last. All right, so what we're going to do is make sure that this is down all the way. We can go ahead and use our T30 and our 10mm to tighten this. Go ahead and tighten our brackets. So we're going to go ahead and make sure everything is lined up still, and tighten down our clamps with a 1/2 inch socket. All right, and lastly, we can go ahead and tighten our rear clamp assembly. Now this one, you want to pay attention because there's a slight curvature to the bed cap. So we want to make sure that this gets pushed down and this gets tightened in the lowest position. And then we can tighten down up top. right, now let's go ahead and roll it back to the tailgate and install our rear corner seals. All right, once we get back to the tailgate, we're going to rotate this up. You're going to notice on these corners here, we're missing a little bit of seal, so we're going to get the seal that matches the shape out of our kit. Peel that off and stick it on there. We're going to do that on both sides. There we go. Now we can go ahead and fix the Velcro and close the tailgate. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.